I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious expression of a Spanish-inspired tortilla, slices of potato that go soft, sweet onions, and I'm going to turn that out with a homemade salsa. I've got a 24 centimeter pan, non-stick, on a medium heat there. Let's start off with the potatoes. I've washed them. So this is two sort of like jacket-sized potatoes. I'm going to half it, quarter it. I'm going to leave the skin on, and I'm going to finely slice it about the thickness of like a pound coin, okay? So just slice that up roughly. If they're not all perfect, it doesn't matter, but you want them to be fairly fine so they cook quite quickly. Pan, in there, we'll go in with a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Sweep these into here, like that. We want to get these potatoes soft and tender. Onion, cheap as chips, and we'll slice them exactly the same as the potatoes. So super easy method. Feel free to put a little bit of sliced carrot in there. It could be leeks, it could be parsnips, like, you know, use what you've got around you. Salt and pepper's in. So for about 20 minutes, we're gonna cook this. I want this potato and onion to get soft, and I want the onions to get sweet, and that's mega flavor and texture. So while that's happening in one pan wonder, woo! Let's think salsa. So I've got a pepper, I've got 2 tomatoes, just standard big ones. I could do a raw salsa, right, if I want to, or I could just put this on a gas hob. Tomato. What I want to do is half the tomato, like that. I'm going to do 2 things just to kind of try and inspire you with some little ideas. I'll keep moving the potatoes and the onions. You can see what's happening here. See how it's blackening? So this is nice. This will give you this kind of sensation of char grill or wood fire. So 2 vibes. First vibe would be just half it, quarter it, and then I'm going to remove these little seeds, right? So this is watery, and we don't want that. So we can take that out. If you take the cheapest tomato and take the trouble to finely slice it, and then cube it, and we've taken something frumpy and everyday, and we've got something beautiful, right? Then, like, let's just do a different vibe. You take the cheapest piece of equipment from the kitchen, box grater. Let's go like pulpy, okay? We put the skin side up and we rub, and what it does is a really interesting thing. It separates the pips. Can you see the pips separating? So that's almost acting like the sieve. And then look underneath, you've got pulp. Right? Sweet, greenhousey, tomato-y pulp. And I'm going to turn it into a salsa, half a tablespoon of vinegar and about twice as much oil, olive oil ideally. We're going to hit it up with pepper and we're going to hit it up with salt. Right? And then we can just take something like parsley. You know, I can take some of the leaves and just put it to one side for later. Finely slice it, and even if you're bad at chopping, still do it, right? Herbs go in to the bowl. Let's finish this salsa. Okay, so with the pepper here, you could let it just sit and steam for a bit. I'm just gonna start scraping off the skin. So what I'm gonna do now is just take the flesh off. See, I'm just slicing these up just like I did the tomato. And again, if you're like worried on your knife skills, just do the cross chopping. That will always sort you out. So that's it. Salsa is done. So look, quick wash. Little tip, by the way, a little wet cloth under the chopping board. Stops it moving, like really important. Okay, back to the pan. So this is basically there. And I'm just gonna do the next bit now, which is egg. So 6 eggs. Go for the best you can afford. Eggs cook at a very low temperature. Now I know that these onions and potatoes are cooked and soft. I go into the eggs. What I'm going to do is just let the eggs, you know, sort of off the heat, be in contact with the potatoes and the onions. It's just going to start heating up the eggs, right? And then off the heat, I'm going to pour back in the potatoes, onions, and eggs. So, on the medium heat, I'll use a little spatula just to pat it down. Gentler cooking underneath, a lid on top, so I keep an eye on it, and then what I do is I turn it upside down on the lid, put the pan back under, and then try and slide it off like that. And that's always the drama, but I'll show you how to do it. There's an easy way of doing it. I'll have a little wash down and I'll be in a beautiful place. I'm slightly worried that I didn't get that temperature low enough, right? So it'll be delicious, but it might be more colored than I want. Let's have a little see. So what I tend to do very safely is get my lid, turn it upside down on itself like that. I can feel it just come out like that. Then I've got the tortilla here, which is lovely. If you're worried about putting it back in here, you can either slide it in if you're confident, or if you're not, just get something else, anything else flat, and you can just put that back again like that, right? And then put it back in here, right? So I know it's a bit of jiggling about, but if you go to Spain, you'll see them jiggling it about. So look, we'll let that cook now for another couple of minutes. Let's just turn that upside down. Yay, okay. Hot and steamy, lovely tortilla with a little blushing of color. Then we've got the salsa. I just like to load it. Will be beautiful. That liquor here, we can use that just to dress the bigger parsley leaves. So I'm almost treating them kind of like a salad leaf in some respect. So let's get into it. Hot, steamy, layers, delicious. Get a little bit of juice, you know, and just pour that over the top. Let's get amongst it. Absolutely delicious, wow. So there you go, that is my £1 wonder. Find those ingredients, have a cook up, and serve it to 3 people that you love. So good luck, take care. Hello you lovely people, I'm gonna give you an epic, satisfying veggie bake. It's from my new cookbook, Together, and in this dish, we get 5 of our daily fruit and veg in one portion. So let's get going. 3 onions, I've peeled these up. Just finely slice the onions like that. In the casserole pan, add yourself a nice little slug of olive oil. I'm gonna add the onions in, and we wanna get the sweetness out of these. Guess how many garlic? 3, right? So we'll finely slice some garlic. Pan, oil, garlic, onions with pepper, a little seasoning with salt. I'm gonna use coriander. Guess how many teaspoons? 3 goes in. Also what I'm gonna add is tapenade. 3 heaped teaspoons of tapenade goes in. The next thing I'm gonna do is start kind of scalding and toasting these veggies in a dry pan, no oil. Cut the sweet potato carefully in half and basically chop it into 3cm chunks. We get these going in the pan. And as these get done, I'll add them into here and then replace them with the next vegetable. Just give it a nice little toss like that. So I'll cut these courgettes exactly the same size as the sweet potato, 3cm rough chunks. So if you have a look at the onions, you can see they've shrunk down massively. That means you've concentrated the flavour. The sweet potatoes go in, and we go in with the courgettes, and we do exactly the same. In the meantime, we'll get our peppers out. The way I prep them is just get my thumb, push it down where that stalk is. We'll get rid of the seeds. With the peppers, exactly the same, 3cm chunks. Then on the mushrooms, we're just going to take these off and break them. These courgettes, they're charred. They'll go in, and to replace those, we'll go in with the peppers. So look, all the veg is in there now. You can see how it's kind of reduced in volume. This pan here, just wipe it clean. That's good to go. And what we're going to do now is now introduce the wet stuff. So we're going to go in with some lovely tin tomatoes. Just put them into your pan. I put them in my clean hands and I just crush them up. And what you do is you get a nice kind of broken up tomato. Fill up 2 of these tins with water, and I'll simmer that now for about half an hour. So here's the stew. It's had its half an hour simmering. It's all cooked beautifully. It's seasoned up good and it's cooled down. Let's put it together now. It has got that kind of vibe of a lasagna, but instead of pasta, we're using phyllo pastry. Get a nice tin, and I'm gonna get a herb. I'm using oregano, and I'm gonna dip that into oil, like that, almost like a brush, and I'm gonna lubricate this tin. Just push the phyllo into the corners, like this. All but 2 sheets of phyllo we're gonna put in and around. So just take 3 or 4 sprigs of the oregano, like that. This I will save to put on the top at the end. So first layer, 300 grams of basmati rice goes in, uncooked. We're also going to go in with 1 tin of drained beans. I'm using butter beans, and then we're going to go in with our veggies here. In we go. So push the veggies around. I'm going to take 1 or 2 layers of phyllo, just lay them over like that. Then take the little edges and kind of tuck it in to bed, right? And that's going to be a beautiful thing. What I might do is just use that oregano and the oil again. So we're gonna cook this at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit. Let's get that in the oven. I tend to put it down the bottom. So our epic, satisfying veggie bake is about to come out of the oven. It's looking great, smelling great. I wanna show you the easiest white sauce ever. I use 1 tub of gorgeous yogurt, 500 grams, and get that in a bowl. Then 3 eggs go in, lovely free-range eggs, and then 100 grams of feta cheese, break it up, fairly chunky. We're just gonna beat this up, and as soon as the eggs, yogurt, and cheese have mixed, that's it. It's that simple. So, now's the fun bit. Let's get that incredible bake. Okay, golden, smelling amazing. Get your little spoon, and I want you to break it. And you're creating all those amazing little shards. And then you simply get your incredible white sauce and pour it over. Oh my Lord, it's gonna be so good. Take the spoon and just push it to the edge. And then the rest of this oregano, we can just sprinkle on top. So this goes back in the oven now, still at 180 degrees Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit, but we're gonna put it in the middle of the oven for about half an hour to 40 minutes until this is gorgeous and golden and lovely. So let me show you this beautiful dish. It's ready. It smells absolutely amazing. Look at that. Gnarly, golden, gorgeous, and it's got layer upon layer of texture and flavour. I like to let it sit for about 10 minutes. Let me show you how to portion it up. Just go to the middle and cut quite accurately all the way down to the bottom. Get your little fish slice and then pull it out. Come on. And that's all yours. A beautiful, generous portion of our humble, exciting, satisfying veggie bake. That in the middle of the table, nice big old salad, glass of wine, happy days. Let's try and get a little bit of everything. Is absolutely joyful. It's super, super good value to make. You can feed 8 people really generously and give them something that they've never, ever had before. Enjoy. This is a one tray wonder. It is so easy. And by doing it yourself at home, you know, you're gonna save at least half the money than going out and getting it, right? It's gonna be a glorious feast of color, gentle, wonderful spice, and I think this could be a classic in your home like it is in mine. So let's do it. People think that chili is always about heat. Wrong, because often it's about controlling the heat and finding other flavors in chilies. So what I've got in this dish is I have fresh chilies, easy to get hold of. Smoked, dried paprika, and then harissa. This is like a ground, dried chili in oil. So that's gonna give you layers of juicy, sumptuous spiciness. We're gonna go in with 2 tablespoons of harissa. If you've never bought it, please try it. It's got a really juicy, fruity, round kind of chili flavor. It's not attacking. And then a couple of tablespoons of lovely olive oil, right? Then season it up with salt and pepper, and then a good couple of tablespoons of red or white wine vinegar. Look at that. So you know that's gonna kick with flavor. Into that, we're gonna go in with a whole bulb of garlic. Now, this isn't gonna be too strong because when you cook whole garlic cloves like this, it goes mild and sweet and you get wonderful perfume. Then I'll go in with 10 fresh chilies. The standard chilies you'd get in a supermarket. Often they're the red ones or the green ones, sometimes the yellow ones, but they're all gonna go in the tray. By roasting them whole, it's a very, very gentle heat. It's just complex and interesting and exciting. So take a knife and just prick each one of those chilies, and that will just, A, stop them from exploding, which is always exciting, and also just let a little bit of spice out. So this is now the marinade for this chicken. I'm gonna do a simple piece of butchery that everyone can do. Very gently, don't put too much weight down. Cut down the back of the chicken. It's very, very simple. Open that out like a book, like that, and then we'll go on top of the chicken and just press it down. It makes it cook more evenly. So we put this in here and get that vinegar and that oil and the garlic and just have a proper little rub up. Now, if you want to wear rubber gloves, go for it. And then use all the garlic and chilies to rub that marinade all over the chicken. Oh, I forgot one thing. 2 onions. Don't forget the onions. Now, the onions, you can go white or red or both if you want, but this is going to give the sauce the sweetness and the silkiness that we definitely want. Get the onions in there. Beautiful. Here's the little trick. This is when things get even more exciting. Simply, I'm going to get a rack like this, and I'm going to do that. Now, what's brilliant about cooking it directly on the bars is you get 360-degree roasting, right? The crispiest skin and the juiciest meat, but most importantly is it rains down all of its juices on whatever is below. So to start with, it'll be the garlic and the chilies. That's gonna make the most amazing chili sauce you've ever had, right? And then I'm gonna put the potatoes underneath it and it's gonna carry on raining. I'm putting it in my wood oven here, 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit, for an hour. After half an hour, the chilies and the garlic will come out and I'll make the most amazing sauce. But until then, time for a big clean down. So the chicken's cooking beautifully. I can hear it, I can smell it. It's so, so good. Now, potato. I normally cut them into wedges, easy peasy, but this time I am gonna show you one of the weapons of being a dad with kids, the crinkle cutter. I know it kind of probably seems a little bit daft, but all the work I did in schools, one thing I did learn was if you put a whole fruit out, half the kids won't take it. If you cut it up, you know, crinkle cutter, little fruit cutter, they all eat it. Right? So that is the spirit for me. Make food fun, make it exciting. So, spuds are done. Let's get the chicken out. It's had half an hour, so it's already roasting up a treat. Come on! Look at that. Just beautiful. So see all the fat rendering here and crispening up that skin. Look at the flavour. Right, that's dripping down on our amazing chilies and onions and garlic. Take a plate and remove all these beautiful whole ingredients. These will now become one of the best chili sauces I think you might ever try. So out with the onions, garlic, and chili. And now in with our crinkle cut potatoes. Sometimes I put a little cheeky bit of vinegar in just to help the sticky bits come off the bottom. And then they start to kind of dress the potatoes. And by the way, if you wanted to put parsnips in here, carrots in here, you know, nice root veg, they taste incredible. Right, now for the third expression of chili, the smoked, dried paprika. Happy days. So a little teaspoon, seasoned on top like that. So the chicken goes back on top to carry on cooking. That'll go in the oven for another half an hour, so that's an hour in total. And then when the chicken is roasting, that's when we'll get a little bit of colour on those potatoes. Now, for one of the most amazing chili sauces. For this, I'm using a blender. You could use a pestle and mortar, no worries. So the onions can go straight in because they're soft and marmalade-y and gorgeous. That'll give you kind of the sweetness and the texture that we want. Then when it comes to the garlic, squeeze those incredible little cloves that are now soft out of the skin and in there like that. That garlic, even though it's a whole bulb, is mild and fragrant and sweet now. Now with the chilies, if it's just all about heat, you can't taste nothing. So take the stalk off, split it open, and just take the seeds out, like that. Then what you've done is minimized heat and maximized flavor. This is gonna give you the most incredible, rounded, balanced chili flavor, straight in the liquidizer. So let's get rid of all these seeds. That's the hot stuff. Have a little clean down and make sure you wash your hands. Otherwise you could get caught out. To make this into a beautiful sauce, we fragrance mint. Mint and chili are literally like best mates, right, since birth, right? It's such a good combo. Then a swig, about a tablespoon of vinegar, because you want that tang, and a nice pinch of salt, right? We'll whiz this up with a little splash of water, enough to kind of make it a nice saucy texture. And then just whiz it up in the greenhouse, as you do. Here we go. Right, you gotta test it. For salt and vinegar, just a kiss more. You need the tang, you need the seasoning. It's got loads of fruit. It's hot, but not in a kind of aggressive way. It's sort of gentle. It's so like chili, but in kind of like silk sheets. So the chili sauce, just put that into a nice bowl. Look at that. And what's really cool about this recipe is if you only made that with green chilies, then that will be green. If you went yellow, it'd be yellow. If it'd be red, it'd be red. And of course, this is a bit of everything, so. Yes! To contrast all of that, I'm gonna do an amazing 1-minute slaw. Anything crunchy, apple, onion, fennel, carrot, cabbage of any description, cucumber, anything crunchy you've got in your fridge. Have a little mind sweep, and then we'll take those kind of clanky old frumpy things and we'll make it into like a thing of beauty. So grate the apple, core and all, straight through there, easy. As soon as you've done that, we'll go on to like your white cabbage. Long strokes, and then you get really nice texture. And then you can kind of mix it up with some red cabbage if you want to, onion, cucumber, always a winner, long strokes, fresh. Then if you've got things like fennel, really nice. So you take your everyday standard coleslaw, start making it a little bit posh. Carrots, of course, is standard, but the kids absolutely love it. Maybe something you haven't done before is sweet corn. And those lovely little capsules of the corn are just so sweet. So this nutrition and this freshness in contrast with the crispy skin and that gentle heat and then the chili sauce. Win, win, win. Look at that, bosh. All I'm gonna do now is dress this with some nice yogurt, whole grain mustard, a heaped teaspoon, hand action, and then just give it a nice little dress up. Now to give it tang, lemon juice. So this is what I'm doing when I'm trying to come up with recipes. Like, just have contrast and freshness. But look at that, a beautiful messy plate of beautifulness. Bit of olive oil, just to kind of say I love you. Rainbow slaw, in seconds. Wow. This chicken has had an hour. It's got nice color on it. So as per normal with any roasting joint, you know, you let it rest, right? Give it a couple of minutes. And by opening that chicken out, what you do is get perfectly cooked wings, breast, and the lovely juicy thigh and drumstick there. Look, the actual bone comes out. Amazing. Right, spuds. Ho, ho, ho. Look at that. Beautiful, sizzling away, properly gnarly and crispy, and really nice with the skin left on them. Joyful. So we've got a lovely bit of thigh there. Got a nice little drumstick. Then we got half of that little wing. Just gorgeous. Let's get some of those spuds. And then our friend, Mr. Chili Sauce. Come on, yes. Bit of slaw. So there you go. That is a beautiful plate of goodness. Little squeeze of lemon maybe. Right, bit of spud. Bit of chicken, chili sauce. There you go. That is what you call a little mouthful of joy. You have to make that. That has got so many layers of flavour. A chili sauce to die for. It's not hot. It's got layers and layers of flavour. And it's a one-tray wonder. What are you waiting for? Go on. This is my mighty meatball bake. We're talking juicy meatballs, baked in a sweet tomato sauce with pesto and parmesan. What's not to love? See how delicate the meatballs are. For me, that is what clever midweek cooking for the family is all about. Using a mix of lean minced beef and blended lentils, which is better for the planet, better for your pocket, and it's also good for you. So, I am gonna use a food processor. You don't have to, but I find you get a better result. First up, we're gonna use some lovely lean minced beef, 250 grams, and then a tin of lentils, a great source of protein, full of fiber, and we're gonna go 50-50. So that's a really clever way of taking the meat down, but also getting the protein and the nutrition in there, and it's really good value as well. So we're gonna go in with the lentils, drained. I'm gonna season with quite a bit of black pepper. I want a nice little hum of heat there. A seasoning of salt. If you had herbs around, you can put it in, right? It's not in the recipe, but you can. We're gonna use bread, about 75 grams or 2 slices of nice, ideally wholemeal bread goes in. That is gonna give you a nice texture, a nice lightness, and it's gonna bind it really beautifully. And we're gonna add a little bit of pesto, just a little teaspoon to give these meatballs a little bit of a vibe. Now, if you wanted to swap the pesto out for different things, different spices, you know, you can absolutely do that. So we're gonna wazz it up about 20 seconds. And then we're gonna pulse in our mincemeat. Look at that, brilliant. Super simple preparation, really fast, And look, if I didn't have a food processor, what I would do is just get my hands in a bowl and really kind of mash up those lentils and then kind of mix in the mincemeat. Absolutely no trouble at all. So look, before we shape these, I'm gonna start blistering some pepper. I'm gonna put my thumb where the kind of stalk is and just press it in, because what I don't want to do is waste any, and just tear it up into the pan dry. We're toasting and charring, and that's gonna give a little element of smokiness, which I really, really like. Imagine that with sweet tomato sauce. Let's divide up some balls. Some greaseproof paper down, whack it on there. Now, what I've done with the minced beef, you can also do with minced pork or any blends of mince, so you can react to your budget and you can react to your preferences. What I'm gonna do is just kind of turn it into a sausage, roughly like that, divide it in half, divide it into quarters, and then roughly each quarter is going to give you 3 balls, about the size of a golf ball. If you wanted to use this as a little burger patty, you absolutely can. I have a little tip for you. Get a little water in a bowl, and just by keeping your hand a little bit moist, you're going to get a really nice smooth finish. Why do you want them smooth? Just because they get nice and crispy, they've got nice texture. Look at that, nice and smooth. Let's wash my hands. So have a little look at these peppers. You see how they're just scalding up and crackling, and that's all flavour and potential there. Put those peppers into the middle of the pan, add some olive oil, and let's get these balls in. Boom. We're gonna let them get golden and crisp, and they're gonna be gorgeous. Wash my hands. After it's had a minute, just see how lovely they are. Look at that. Sizzling away. And get them nice and crispy. Give it a nice little shake. Look at that. Mix it all up. Let's start the fun with the tomatoes. Beautiful plum tomatoes. Use your hand to break up the tomatoes. Then I'm going to use this tin, about 3/4 full, with water to clean the tin out, but also to add to this. So let that come up to the boil. Give it a nice little grating of Parmesan on the top. That's just going to give you the most beautiful kind of crispy crust. You can do it in advance and you can reheat it, so it's super flexible like that. You can serve it with rice, pasta, bread. You know, it really is a fantastic all-round dish. If you had kind of leftover carrots, onions, leeks in the fridge, you can get that in there as well and get even more veg in there. But there you go, easy as meatballs. I've got the oven preheated to 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit, 20 minutes. That's gonna be beautiful. So the room smells absolutely beautiful. Look at that, just sizzling and gorgeous. Let's serve up a nice little portion. Look at that, come on. And then all I do is just finish it. Just a nice little dollops of pesto, just tiny bits, beautiful colors. And then maybe a little extra Parmesan, just a little bit. There you go. Happy days. That with some nice crispy bread, you know, pasta or rice, even a jacket potato. Absolutely beautiful. Right, let's have a little try, come on. I'm gonna try and get everything in one mouthful. Pesto, pepper, and a meatball. Really tasty. Like, I feel no compromise. There's plenty of flavor there. It's delicate, it's got crispy outside, fluffy, light inside. I'm really happy with that. It's a great midweek meal, fantastic value, super nutritious, and easy, right? Really quick to do, but really impressive. On the takeaway menu today, my king of all burgers. Just because these meals are money saving, they never scrimp on quality. Mince is really cheap, so buy the best you can afford for higher welfare meat with more flavour and texture. I'm using 500 grams of lamb mince as a really delicious alternative to beef. Now, what I want to do is form a patty, a burger, without applying too much pressure. So if you're going to home make the burger, why kind of make it dense and sort of like hard and tough, like the kind of pre-made processed ones? Let's just get the patty and let's form it like that, and let's make a nice little loose patty. That way it's going to be looser when you eat it, more delicate, more tender, and you really, really will notice the difference. And what I like to do is try and make those patties the same size or girth as your roll. Right, so I'm just doing it like that. They're going to shrink a little bit when we cook them. Now, I want to kind of treat it like a steak. So I'm going to season it with salt and pepper. So nothing's been done to that meat. Don't muck about with it. I'm actually not even going to put any oil in the griddle pan. It's going to go straight in there. Just push it down. You're going to get those nice char marks. And then a little bit of salt and pepper on top as well. Over here, we've got the 2 leftover ones. Just fold them up like this. You know, we can fold it over. We've got 2 burgers, homemade, ready and raring to go for another day. Just throw them in the freezer. And actually, you can cook them from frozen as well, so it's happy days. They're going to cook those burgers for about 3 or 4 minutes on each side.
Now look, a burger's not a burger without a little bit of pickle.
Red onions, they're nice and cheap. I've got a mandolin here, really worth the investment. You get it on fine. So I'm going to just slice half an onion like this, and in seconds, we're going to make an awesome homemade pickle, okay? So onions goes in. Look how fine that is. So we have the ability with the mandolin to make this wafer thin, right? And then simply put a bit of red wine vinegar in, hardly any at all, a good pinch of salt, and give it a little scrunch up. You could put a little sugar in it if you wanted to, but as soon as you've scrunched that up, that kind of pongy raw onion flavour, sort of onion breath onion, it's gone. You've got that lovely light pickle, and it's gorgeous. So that's done. I'm going to go and turn my burger over now, because I think it's had probably enough time. Let's have a little look here. Nice. See, it's like crispy. The fat's dancing. Lovely. As soon as I've turned it, what I want to do is get some blue cheese, or any cheese, whatever cheese you want to use. I want about 10 grams of cheese each. And I'm just going to put that straight on top. Another little trick, okay? The way to kind of get that cheese to melt is to kind of make a little hat out of tin foil, and the steam will start to melt that cheese, like that. So we've got burgers nearly there. Cheese is kind of on the melt. I've got pickle done, okay? And I think that the bun is just as important as the meat. It's got to be the perfect carrier. Let's have a little look at our... Come on, guys, have a look. That little bit of cheese has melted on the top. Our little idea worked. I'm just going to get those buns toasting up.
This gorgeous lamb burger is so quick and easy. There's not going to be many delivery guys who could get a takeaway to your door in the time it takes to make.
So let's finish it off now. Let's get ourselves a nice eating apple, right? And this, with lamb, you know, is going to be brilliant.
Oh man, I'm loving my crinkle cutter knife. Now for the exciting bit, constructing this king of all burgers.
We want to get some ketchup on these buns. Then we go in with the burger. Now you see, can you see it dripping? That's just juiciness. And you want that bun, that perfect bun, to catch all that juice. So it's sort of a little bit soggy and a little bit naughty. Get 2 bits of this apple here and just put it under the lamb, okay? Lovely. And then we've got our pickled onions here. In seconds, they've transformed in flavour. Instead of like doing sweet onions, which everyone does, that take ages to cook, right? Just put a nice little wodge of that lovely, delicate onions on there. Easy peasy. I'm going to put some spinach with it, and hardly any spinach at all. Just a few little leaves like this. I'll put that under the burger as well. Okay, and then we've got the other side of the bun here. A little bit of ketchup. Look at that. The ketchup just helps it sort of work. A beautiful, homemade, handcrafted artisan burger. Follow me. Come on.
I admit, buying a takeaway does have its perks, but making your own isn't just cheaper, it's also more delicious.
We're going to get ourselves some rosemary, 2 nice big sprigs. Grab the stalk and pull it off. Chop that up. And then next to it, I've got some lovely smoked bacon, 100 grams. I'm just slicing this bacon up. If you are a parent of a baby that's weaning, you wouldn't use the bacon because it's got salt in it. We'll put a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil in a pan. Let's whack it onto full whack. Go in with the rosemary and the smoky bacon. So that's the beginning of our story. I've got 1 kilo of minced beef and 1 kilo of minced pork. In it goes. And we'll just break that up. If budget is a real issue, what you can use is half as much mincemeat, no problem at all, and maybe go in with a sort of similar amount of lentils. And honestly, sometimes if you get the method, like I'm going to teach you right, it's really hard to tell the difference. Can you see how the water is coming out of the meat? That's fine. We'll keep stirring it for about 10 minutes until it starts to fry again, until we get lovely, lightly golden mincemeat. Listen guys, can you hear that? That's a good sound. If it's sticking, if it's sizzling, that means flavour. And of course, if you say that a couple of minutes later, that means burnt, so don't burn it. Keep your eyes peeled. So look, that's now browning off beautiful. I'm gonna rattle up a load of my veg in here. It's easy, it's quick, and is very uniform. So we're gonna use 2 onions, 4 carrots, and zip it up. Cut that up to the same size as the mincemeat. Go in with the onions, do exactly the same. You could add other things in. A little bit of squash, zucchini or courgettes is really, really good. 4 sticks of celery. Lovely colours. Stir all these veggies in, intense flavours. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. So look, I'm going to stir that every minute for the next 10 minutes, and then I'll add all the wet stuff. So, have a look at that. This has been cooking, come here. This has been cooking now for about 20 minutes in total, okay? So we've really developed flavour. Go in with 2 heaped tablespoons of tomato puree. This is just going to give it a lovely depth. And then we're going to go in with 4 lovely tins of plum tomatoes. Now, another little tip, if you want the best, sweetest, most perfect tomatoes, always plums. As far as regular tomatoes are concerned, anything that's not quite perfect then gets chopped or turned into passata. Fill up your 4 tins that are empty with water, and it will look quite wet when you stir it in, but don't worry, because that's going to simmer now on a gentle heat for about 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and that will reduce down. The plum tomatoes will just naturally break up when you give it a little stir, and you're going to create the most wonderful, beautiful, robust ragu sauce. Remember, we've made twice as much as we need. So that's, possibly another 10 meals. You can bag it up in the freezer for months. Just run it under a tap and plop it out of this bag into a pan, and you can reheat it in minutes. Minutes, minutes, minutes. Brilliant little tips. Don't forget to label it. Squeeze the air out. The thinner it goes, the quicker it's going to freeze, and the quicker you can reheat it, okay? So we'll zip it up like that, let it go to room temperature, and then actually put it in the freezer shelf just like that, okay? And then it'll go super hard, and then you can rack it up. Almost like a library of kind of edible books. Really good little tip. That is my classic, humble family ragu. My guys love it. I hope you love it. Right, superb. So, I'm going to do a beautiful dish that completely celebrates how beautiful peas are. And I've got some water on, spaghetti. And what I want to do is take about half of that, about 2 portions worth, give it a little twist, drop it in here. Lovely. Maybe a little bit more for luck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make meatballs, right? The quickest meatballs. I'm going to make meatballs in the time it takes that pasta to cook. I've got some fantastic sausages. These are from the butcher, and look at them. I mean, they're pretty amazing. You can get any sausage you want, as long as it's good. So, something like a Cumberland or a fresh Italian sausage or something like that. All you have to do is get a pan hot, which that is, have a nice drizzle of olive oil, right? And get your sausage and literally pinch it and pull it out, drop. Pinch it, pull it out, drop. Dead simple. And you don't have to sit there and sort of go, oh no, I have to roll them around and get them absolutely perfect, because, life's too short, and quite frankly, I like things a bit rustic anyway. Now, sauce. Tomato sauce. I've got the quickest, most delicious tomato sauce. So what you do, slice up a couple of cloves of garlic. I want to use basil. Basil, tomatoes, best friend, there's no debate there. Stalk, I want. Leaves off, stalk, I want. Leaves off. Right, you can pick out your little pretty camp leaves, which I love. Nice to sprinkle on top. The big old leaves, let's chop them up. Stalks, nothing wrong with those. Don't you dare throw them away. Waste of money. Loads of flavour in there. I'm going to put the garlic and the basil stalks into the pan. That'll start frying. Let's have a little swirly-whirly of a pasta. All right. Not done. It'll be done in 2 minutes. I've got to do this in 2 minutes. Nice and golden. Garlic's going. Basil leaves. We're going to cook it so short, so that whole thing about basil at the end, absolutely true. It is almost at the end, because we haven't even started yet. So give it a little toss like that. And then in with some good tinned tomatoes. Pour the juice in. Get the extra tomatoes in your hand. Scrunching. Through your finger. All I want to do is bring them to the boil. Have a little taste. A little bit more salt, a bit more pepper. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Little cheat, just a nice little blob of balsamic vinegar. That'll give it a nice little sweetness. Here we go. Lovely. And then what I'm going to do is I've got some golden oregano. You could use normal green oregano, thyme, even rosemary. Just take it off. In with the meatballs. They'll crispen up, they'll look lovely. Oregano, meat, pork, lovely. Sausages are cooked through. Pasta's now nicely cooked. I'm not going to put it with my tomato sauce. I want to do it sort of slightly more Italian in the sense of toss it with the meat and all the lovely juice and all of that sort of stuff. Straight in there. Give it a toss. And the first thing the pasta sucks up is all that lovely sort of like herbs from the oregano, the sort of lovely flavours that come out of the sausage. And then to serve it, all I'm going to do is take a nice wad of my pasta. And I get my lovely tomato sauce in the middle, load it up, because as soon as anyone puts their fork anywhere near it, it's going to cover it all in it. And then don't forget your meatballs. Right, now, obviously, peas and broad beans is my day-to-day, and there's not been a single pea or broad bean go anywhere near this. But the tweak is, and this is, I think this is completely genius, you know, you get your little peas, you crack them open, you know, pasta makes you feel happy, lovely meatball, lovely, and you got that sweet tomato sauce, and then you get these raw peas that are going through it, and they just pop, 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 sweet, really, really nice. And then just finish it with a few lovely little basil leaves, and that is a superb dinner. 10 minutes. So good.